One of the benefits of using Shopify is it comes with a universal checkout. This checkout has been optimized using data from the millions of transactions that have gone through Shopify. The layout of the checkout cannot be changed. However, there are a number of customizations that can be used to personalize the checkout to your business. These settings can be configured in Settings and then Checkout. The first option you have is the style of the checkout. You can access this by clicking on Customize Checkout. This will take you to where you can edit your theme. If you click on Theme Settings, one of the options is the checkout. Here you have a number of different things that you can configure. The first option to configure is the header. Here you have the choice of a background image and a logo. The size of the background image is recommended to be 1000 pixels by 400 pixels. So that's 1000 pixels wide and 400 pixels high. If we select an image and click Save, we can see how this affects the look and feel of the store. If you don't have a logo, it'll merely have the name of your store here. If we select an image, let us upload an image, and then we select that image will appear at the top left. Once the image has been saved, we can choose the position of the logo, so it can be left, center or right, and we can choose the logo size. That's medium currently, we can change it to large. And click Save. The next area to configure is the main content area. You can select a background image here or a background color. I'd recommend selecting a background color. If you have a background image, the image will repeat. You also don't want something too busy, which is going to distract people from the form they're trying to fill in. Here the background color is white. I'm going to change it to a green. You can see where the color has filled this in. Topography is the font you use. You have two options to fix here. One is the headings and one is the body. Headings is the headings on the page, so this will be things like contact information, shipping address. You can see how these are changed. You can see that has changed now to a serif font, and the body text will be, for example, this text here. You can see how the text has changed. Finally, you have the colors. You have accent colors, which are things like links, highlight and check marks. So if we change that, let's change it to red so we can easily see it, and then do Save. This you can see is the accent when you're selecting a box, that's the accent. The buttons, let's change that to red. The button on this page is the continue shipping at the bottom here. And finally errors, that's if, for example, there's an error on the page. If you click continue shipping without any details on the form, it'll show you an error, and that error color is the color of the text. Returning to the checkout configuration page, there are a number of other options to configure your checkout. First is customer accounts. When checking out, there are a number of options which you can offer to your customers. One is to disable all accounts. They can only check out as a guest. Secondly, accounts are optional. They can choose whether they want to check out as a guest or create an account. And thirdly, accounts are required. I would recommend setting accounts are optional. Some people like to check out as guests, but some people value the convenience of creating accounts. They don't have to enter their details if they come back. Next, customer contact. You can choose whether to let customers check out using a phone number or an email, or just an email. From experience, it is much easier to search for orders via an email, and it's also easier to contact people via an email. So personally, I would select customers can only check out using an email. The next option is receiving shipping updates. Here you could choose whether the customer can add a phone number to receive shipping updates, and they can also use the Shopify Shop app to get their order status. The better you can communicate with your customers and give them their shipping information, the happier your customers will be and the less customer service complaints you will get. So I'd very much recommend selecting both those two options. Next, the form options. You have the choice with name. You can require just the last name or the first name and the last name. You have the option whether they can enter a company name, address line to, and a shipping phone number. I would recommend giving the customers the option to add the maximum amount of information. The more information you have, the better chance you have of the item being delivered properly and you being able to contact the customer if you need to. Next, order processing. When the customer is checking out, you have the option to use the shipping address as the billing address by default, and whether you have a confirmation step where the customer must review their order details before purchasing. I would always veer on the side of making it as easy and as possible for the customer to check out and having a few steps. So if you add the shipping address as the billing address, they won't have to enter the addresses separately, so it will reduce the amount of time it takes. If you remove the confirmation step, then that's one less step in the checkout, so you'll have less people dropping out. You will, however, have more people clicking the order button, not realizing what they've bought, and so you may have more customer service problems. Enabling address auto-completion will speed the completion of the checkout and therefore will probably improve the conversion rate. It'll also mean that the addresses are more likely to be correct and reduce errors. After the order has been paid, you have the choice of how to fulfill the order. You can automatically fulfill the line items, automatically fulfill the gift cards, or not automatically fulfill anything, as you prefer. Marketing consent. It is always a good idea to collect customers' emails and get their permission to market them, even if you don't think you might do it at this moment in time. You may wish to in future. You have this option here to pre-select this option with a tick. I would recommend not doing that for two reasons. One, it can annoy some customers, and secondly, it can be illegal in certain parts of the world. Same with SMS marketing. You can get permission to send text messages to people. A lot of people go to a checkout and they fill in the checkout details, but they leave before making a purchase. Shopify has a built-in option to send abandoned cart emails. That will be an email saying something to the effect of, we noticed you added something to your cart, but you never paid for it. Here's a link to the cart. You can sometimes add an offer as well. In another part of Shopify is a template for this email. You can choose the amount of time after which it's sent, and the recommended amount is 10 hours. If you have some tracking software, you can add the tracking code on the page, which will enable the software, for example, Google Analytics, to properly track the order transaction. And you can see your conversion rate and your cost per conversion, etc. Finally, you can have the checkout in multiple languages. Once you've finished, you can click Save.